Whether you're thinking of divorcing your narcissistic spouse, right in the middle of it, or have finalized your divorce, the tactics are the same. If this sounds like you need to know about Christine Hammond's new masterclass series, How to Survive a Divorce with a Narcissist. In this 4-hour video series, Christine Hammond introduces the toxic tactics that narcissists use to abuse, humiliate, and manipulate you, and teaches you exactly how to recognize these tactics and navigate through them with mastery and confidence. How to Survive a Divorce with a Narcissist is a deep dive, a masterclass that'll show you how narcissists use tactics like bait and switch, scare tactics, roller coaster ride, and child's play. It's How to Survive a Divorce with a Narcissist, a 4-hour recorded video masterclass with Christine Hammond. For more information or to purchase today, just go to growwithchristine.com/narcissism. That's growwithchristine.com/narcissism. This masterclass will change your life. Again, that's growwithchristine.com/narcissism. This is Understanding Today's Narcissist. Brought to you in part by PsychCentral.com. And now here's your host, Christine Hammond.
Today I'm going to talk about a topic that is slightly controversial, which is parental alienation. And the reason I'm talking about this in combination with narcissists is because I've gone through enough divorces now with a narcissist to know that they often try to alienate the spouse that they have divorced. And so I'm going to give you an example of this. I wish I could say this wasn't true, but this is true. So, of course, the name has been changed. But nonetheless, this is a perfect example of what I'm talking about when the narcissist tries to alienate the child from the other parent. So we're going to talk about Maria, who was diagnosed with narcissistic personality disorder. She was really frustrated over the outcome of her divorce. So one day she passively aggressively told her 2 kids, "I can't afford anything. Go ask your dad. He has all the money." At first, her kids expressed disappointment, which allowed them to bond with Maria's self-imposed victimization from the settlement. But as soon as that diminished, her kids failed to show any further concern or give Maria any more attention, she escalated. "Your dad stole from me," she started saying instead. "He promised me he would always take care of me, and he broke his promise. You can't ever trust him." Again, the kids, and they were young at this time, sided with their mom because their dad had recently disciplined one of them for lying. But after a while, the kids' zeal for their mom's victimization died down. This was in part because she used it a lot. She said it a lot. She talked about it all the time. And once you hear something over and over again, kids just become inoculated to it. It doesn't have the same weight or significance that it once did. So then Maria had to intensify her comments. Here's another example of what she said. "One day your dad will leave you the way he left me. He left because he knew he would be making more money and he didn't want me to have any. You should keep an eye on him." Again, I wish I wasn't saying this, and I wish nobody actually said this to their kids, but they did. Once again, because she escalated, this worked for a while, and the kids started pulling away from their dad yet again. But just as before, they became distracted and they started to re-engage with their father. Unfortunately, Maria just kept escalating. Now she was in a full-blown rage over her kids' connection to their dad. So Maria unloaded on the kids, claiming, "You're not loyal to me. I do everything for you and your dad does nothing. He gets all the attention and I'm treated like trash. Your dad is turning you away from me. You are so ungrateful." So, completely confused and now frustrated by the comments, the kids just wind up breaking down in tears. Maria just stared at them and said, "Your guilty conscience is getting to you." So, Maria was diagnosed with narcissistic personality disorder a while back, which was the reason that they wound up getting a divorce in the first place. What Maria's ex did not realize was that the same attacks that he was enduring on a day-to-day basis were now going to be endured by his children. Saddened by what his kids were telling him about what Maria was actually saying to them, he reached out to me. He had never actually heard of parental alienation until it was pointed out as a possibility. So, what is parental alienation and why does a narcissist actually do this to the kids? All right, first question. What is parental alienation? Parental alienation occurs when one parent encourages their child to unfairly reject the other parent. That's the standard definition of it. The child might display signs of unwarranted fear, hostility, and or disrespect towards one parent, while displaying signs of complete loyalty, unconditional trust, and or empathy towards the other parent. So the contrast in behavior, the emotional responses, and the thoughts towards each parent are just dichotomous. The child may or may not be able to communicate logical reasoning for the difference. So they might not even know where it's coming from. Often parental alienation starts off really smallly, and then it just kind of grows and it builds one on top of the other. In the example I gave you with Maria, she started off pretty mild, and then she escalated and it got worse and worse, and the attacks became even personal towards the kids at the end. That is a very typical example of what parental alienation actually looks like. So the next question, does a narcissist do this intentionally? Well, unfortunately, the answer can be yes and no at the same time. So some narcissists actually border on a sociopathic behavior and therefore are likely to intentionally attempt to alienate the child. So it's a much more calculated, manipulative thing that they are trying to do. They're trying to alienate the child from the other parent to cover up their own narcissistic feelings of embarrassment. And it could be embarrassment over the divorce, over their financial situation, over any one of a number of things. But remember, a narcissist can't stand to be embarrassed, so they're going to do whatever they have to in order to cover that up. So the difference can usually be seen in the approach. So the intentional efforts are very logical. They're systematic. They tend to build over time. They're done incrementally. While as an unintentional effort at parental alienation is very sporadic. It's poorly planned. It tends to be intermixed with a lot of negative emotional expressions such as anger, and it tends to be chaotic in nature. So yes, they can do it intentionally. No, they might not be doing it intentionally. At the heart of it is this embarrassment that they're trying to cover up, which is why they're doing it. So that goes back to my next question. Why do they do parental alienation? Remember, we've talked about this before, that the Achilles heel of every narcissist is this deep-rooted insecurity, which is strictly guarded. Any harmful exposure of them, which could be an unveiling of their perfectionism, an uncovering of their superiority complex, a downgrading in their financial status, or some form of embarrassment literally sends them over the edge. A divorce is a ripe ground for revealing their vulnerabilities. Therefore, your narcissist is going to circle the wagons and retaliate against the ex by trying to turn the children against the other parent. That just justifies themselves, makes themselves feel better in this kind of like sick, twisted way. And there's no real thought or concern for how this affects or could damage the children, which, make no mistake, parental alienation is very damaging to children. So, next question. Do narcissists actually succeed at this? Again, this is both a yes and then a no answer. In the beginning, They are usually very successful at parental alienation, just because they're successful at the beginning of any relationship due to their charm and their natural way of attracting others. And they can be so convincing when they need to be. And they do this a lot through gift giving, becoming a permissive parent, or the Disney fun parent, which is like no discipline at all. However, you give a narcissist enough time and just about everyone starts to see the narcissistic behavior for what it is, including children. It is self-serving. So narcissists tend to pick a favorite child. So the favorite might take a bit longer to come to this realization than the other forgotten children who have already been tormented by the narcissism and can see it as plain as day. So yes, the narcissist does succeed in the beginning. No, their long-term game is terrible and it doesn't work. However, the favorite child, it could take well into adulthood before they actually finally do see this. The forgotten children, they'll pick up on it right away. So if you are at the other end of this and you're realizing right now that your narcissistic ex-spouse is probably trying to alienate the children from you, what can you be done? Well, I'm going to give you some suggestions. First of all, the key here is not to become like the narcissist when you confront them. Don't counteract the negative comments with more negativity. So you don't counteract comment for comment. When they make some comment about not having enough money or they didn't get this or didn't get that and you make so much more money, don't counteract that by saying, well, yes, they did, and here's how much they're getting. Like, do not be disclosing the terms of the divorce to the kids in an effort to win them towards your side. That is a bad move. Instead, I want you to speak to your child like this. I'm sorry your mom said those things about me. They are not true. I love you too much to put you in the middle of this. And then stop talking. You don't say anything else about it. You don't defend yourself. You don't retaliate against the other parent. You just show the child that you are going to continue to be the safe ground that they always need. Because remember, when they are with the narcissistic parent, things are very chaotic. When they are with you, things are not so chaotic. And they need that constant reassurance that no matter what level of crazy they're going to bring over with them from their narcissistic parent, you are going to be safe, unconditional, loving, kind, gentle towards them at all times. Remember, the child is part of both of you. And disrespecting one parent over another is like disrespecting one half of the child. And that's how the child feels from their perspective. So resist the temptation and don't do that. A child can't divorce half of themselves and should never be asked to. So even if they are being asked to by the narcissistic parent, you don't ever do that. If the child is resistant at first, give it some time because the narcissist is eventually going to reveal themselves. So what I suggest to you is that you just lay low. Lay low, be kind, be generous, be loving, be consistent, and your child will eventually come around to you. Don't retaliate. Don't act back. Don't match the narcissism with more narcissistic behavior. Don't get angry. Don't get defensive. All of those things are wrong reactions. Remember, your child is going to act towards a narcissist the way that you do. And so you need to model really good behavior for your child so that they can learn how to handle it when you're not around and they're stuck with their narcissistic parent all by themselves. So Maria's ex actually took my advice, and within a few months of patiently waiting for his kids to respond, they did. And he managed to create this safe place that I was just talking about for his kids to express themselves without fear of being retaliated against. This really helped his kids to heal and had a reverse effect on the parental alienation that the narcissist tried to do. So it worked out just like a charm. It didn't take very long. You might have to wait a couple of years. It might not take a couple months. It might take a couple years. But trust me, the kids will come around because if you provide a safe, consistent, loving environment, that's really what a kid craves, and that's what they need, and that's what they want. They don't want the crazy. They really do want things to be steady.
Thanks for listening to Understanding Today's Narcissist. with Christine Hammond. Brought to you in part by PsychCentral.com. For more information, visit growwithchristine.com.